LoreWarrior Online. The Lobo. Overview. For some time, Clan Wolf had been looking for a lighter companion to their highly successful Timberwolf design, a complementing system of missiles and energy weaponry, specifically. The problem wasn't in designing a chassis that could mount these choices, it was in their missile launcher selection. Khan Vladimir Ward didn't want to bother with short-range missiles. LRMs were too heavy for a middleweight mech, and the Endosphere's development of medium-range missiles seemed a step in the wrong direction to most Clan scientists. Then, Clan Coyote developed their advanced tactical missile systems, neatly solving Khan Ward's issues. Capabilities. The Lobo was already on the design boards when Clan Coyote debuted their new ATMs. Winning the technology in a brief and bloody battalion, Khan Ward quickly ordered the Lobo to be redesigned to field test the new system. In order to accommodate the ATMs, endo steel construction material and XL engine technology had to be used to save critical space and weight. This had placed a lot of superior technology in what is, ostensibly, a second-line battle mech for Clan Wolf. However, if this battle mech proves successful, Khan Ward has already vowed to order his scientists to recreate the Lobo as a new Omni-mech. The Lobo mounts a single extended-range large laser in the chest for jousting as it closes. In medium ranges, it relies mostly on its heavy lasers and ATM systems. The ATMs carry 4 tons of ammunition, giving the mech warrior the opportunity to go into battle with a variety of munitions. This is a hot-running machine, and in firefights its mech warriors have shown a tendency to risk shutdown before running without weapons for a time to dissipate the heat. Fortunately, 7 tons of ferrofibrous armour and an AMS system do allow the Lobo to stand up to some punishment during its weapon's free cooldown period. Deployment. The Lobo is currently found only in Clan Wolf. It's been used in border skirmishing against Jade Falcon and Ghost Bear, and in one distance strike against Clan Wolf in Exile, and in a few probing attacks at Comstar. So far, the Lobo has earned excellent marks. Against Comstar, the machine showed a slight weakness in prolonged combat, though its heavy lasers did allow it to win out in the end. So the Lobo is a 40-tonner. Its chassis is a Type A endo steel model. Its power plant is the General Systems 240XL. It has a walk of 65 kph and a run of 97 kph, with no jump jets. Its armour is Type 1 ferrofibrous, and its armament is a single Volt 7 extended range large laser, 2 CC-6 rack advanced tactical missile systems, 2 General Systems heavy medium laser, and 1 General Systems heavy small laser. 1 Shield 3 anti-missile system rounds out the armaments. Manufactured by W7 Facilities, its communications system is the Howler 79, and targeting and tracking is the Model 92 Stalker. Unfortunately, it looks like this. This has a walk of 6 and a run of 9, 10 double heat sinks, try to keep the thing cool. It has 9 armour on the head, 18 on the CT, 5 on the rear, 15 on the side torsos with 5 on the rear again, 12 armour on the arms, and 19 on the legs. The AMS system is located in the head, which you can see quite prominently there, with 24 rounds of ammunition in the left arm, of all places. The 2 heavy medium lasers are located equally in one arm each. Then you have the ER large laser in the right torso, you can see just there to the right of the AMS system. Then we have 1 ATM-6 launcher located in the right torso as well, which you can see as the pod on the shoulder section, with 20 rounds of ammunition, and the same with the left torso. And finally, the heavy small laser is located in the left torso that you can see sort of underneath in the kind of armpit area of the machine. I don't have a problem with the build. I quite like it. It's quite an all-rounder. I think the art, unfortunately, suffers a bit here because it looks like a mech from a different universe. It looks like a different kind of sci-fi mech power armor type deal. This is the kind of thing that you'd see in just kind of generic Western sci-fi. It's hard to explain because it's not quite anime looking. It doesn't look like something from like Armored Core or Front Mission, that kind of thing. But it also has, for me, a bit more of a kind of root in some of the more recent kind of RTS games where there'd be like just a mecha unit and this is it kind of thing, and it doesn't look give the impression to me that it fits BattleTech's universe. It looks like a corporate-built, like, cyberpunk era type mecha power armor type thing, unfortunately. I can see maybe the idea of going a little bit out of the ordinary for the design, coming up with something that's a bit more unusual. But BattleTech has always had a kind of hard established aesthetic, and I think whenever they do veer off, it never really resonates, I don't think, with people. Whether they dislike this art like intensely or whether they just don't care for it, I think it's a mech that doesn't get much use because of that. Again, maybe other art, maybe more recent stuff, because as I'm recording this, I'm just looking at the original TRO book. There might be one of the Recognition Guide books that have updated the art, and it might look a bit more in fitting with the universe. So you may see that pop up, you might not. But just going by the original artwork as presented, it's not the best. Again, I don't hate it. The design looks fine, but it looks like it could be in Mass Effect, for instance, or Cyberpunk, or any of those kind of sci-fi sort of settings. It doesn't fit for me with BattleTech, which I think has always traditionally had a kind of humanoid-ish, even with like the oh god, I forget the name for the joint system in the legs. It's a word that I always have trouble saying. But even with those kind of designs, there's always something about like the sort of chest, upper body aesthetics that always kind of fit the universe, and this one just seems like quite a departure. As far as the build is concerned, yeah, it's pretty hard hitting for what it is. Obviously, its capability at 40 tons, it's got a hell of a lot of firepower, and its speed is pretty good as well. It can keep up with heavies, and its armor is decent, again, for 40 tons. It can take a few hits before you have to worry about going internal. It can obviously move with, obviously it's by its design, it's meant to support something like the Timberwolf. It's an odd thing to say that the Timberwolf needs support, because I think it's one of those cases where one of the best designs for the clans was made when they launched. It was called the Timberwolf. It's because that mech is the perfect combination of ranged firepower, armor, and speed. It's kind of all things. It has long-range missiles, it's got pulse lasers, it's got machine guns, it's got obviously a brace of ER lasers, decent heat management. So yeah, the idea of any mech that could potentially work alongside this to support it or make up for its flaws just doesn't really make sense, because it technically doesn't have any. I mean, regardless of era, the Timberwolf is still a pretty decent opponent for any mech to come up against. The idea, though, that the Lobo would act as a support for bigger mechs makes sense, though, because it can keep pace. It doesn't have a case where it could outpace a heavy mech in a star, meaning that it can use its ATMs in a fire support role, either engaging at range alongside its star mates, before engaging in medium and short range combat, where those ATMs can do more damage and finish off targets, or be able to deliver attacks into the rear arc of mechs and vehicles, that kind of thing. Makes perfect sense. It's good for that. The heavy lasers, which obviously have quite a lot of prominence in this book because they were a relatively new piece of tech they added to the game, means that you've got something that's got, that risk-reward of high heat but high damage. So yeah, I mean, as far as the build is concerned, it's generally okay. It is just very hot. That's the problem. Normally you're not going to be firing most of these weapon systems. I think most turns you're going to be using the ER large and the ATMs, and then you're just going to be firing one or maybe two heavy mediums if you can get away with it, depending on how deep into the rules you're going. If you're using local ambient temperature rules, if it's cold environment, yay, warm environment, not so much. That kind of thing. It really depends what kind of level of advanced play you're going through, obviously. But yeah, overall, not a bad mech. It's also one of those ones that if you were using it as an opponent for players, there is the fact that you can have it that the pilot is running a little bit on the red line, so they're initially going to be quite dangerous, and then a couple of turns in, they're going to be sort of moving around, they're going to be cooling off, so they're not going to be firing as much. Maybe they'll be firing one of the lasers, and they might be firing one ATM system, they might be firing just the heavy small if they're in range, that kind of thing. And the players can then get the opportunity, to pummel this thing. But yeah, it's not bad. As far as the build is concerned, it's just the artwork is a bit naff, so... naff in as much as it doesn't fit, not that it's badly drawn or anything like that. It doesn't look like a bad machine, as I said. It would fit a different sci-fi unit. I've already said that multiple times. Anyway, thanks for listening, as always, and hope you have a good week, and catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.